programs, and they're trying to they're covering the real identity because.
But I also think it's how this town has gotten rich. I think through USAID, I think they've laundered money, and I use that in the truest sense, in the name of democracy, through a bunch of NGOs that you're like, what are you even doing? And two, I think why they're melting down about the USAID stuff, and I do think it is interesting watching the mainstream media sort of decide what to take the bait on, because I think that was the lesson that they learned from the Trump administration, the first iteration. They're like, we can't melt down, we can't become apoplectic over everything. But I think their resistance strategy is what they now are turning the opposition into can't change because they can't really do anything by negotiating except the USAID saying, shut down the Trump administration. Their plan, and I think you see it in the groups that they've been setting up, like, for example, Democracy Corps, which is a kind of consortium of a bunch of resistance type forces. They certainly become pretty strong, which is outlining posters, citizens, how to do with the road, how to do it, put whatever. And I think that the trust, the sort of cornerstone of their resistance tactic is going to be with the going releasing and doing this without country inside of the agency. And why do they can do that? I think they're panicking, right? Because the how we go after the president first and that. I mean, more to that point, it's like, hey, made this square. We got a little bit of tutorial. As someone who has read a lot of the text and why these musicians type organizations, there's always this sort of undercurrent of, well, maybe we need to partner with international organizations, which is like go civil, which they have done. I would argue a lot of the censorship stuff when they couldn't totally do it here, they outsourced the infringement of the First Amendment to international groups. I think the
Alexa, timer off.
So nervous about USAID being shut down is that I think, again, maybe they weren't planning to launder the money. I'll be a little nice or I'll be more charitable. They're just planning to send the money, but I think they really wanted to kind of bankroll the resistance internationally and sort of use that as a roundabout way to come after President Trump, because they can't really do that much. They can call the Senate, you know what I mean? And Warren's great at that, but they don't really have the ability to push back in a meaningful way. That's why they're, groveling on the steps of USAID, looking rather cringe, I would have. Like, Jamie Raskin's gone from impeaching President Trump twice and running circles around us from a lawfare perspective to now groveling outside of USAID with a bunch of freaks, So I'm how I guess times are tough for Democrats.
Yeah, it does have them in a bind because they're trying to figure out how to defend USAID, and initially they were defending it as foreign aid is important, and pointing to you shut down PEPFAR, you shut down this protection for spending infants in Sudan, and people are going to die, and people literally are going to die if you do that.
It's a clever insurance policy.
But then Rubio can counter and say, well, we're going to keep those programs going.
Yeah.
And so now you've started to see, I think it was Chris Murphy, who was like, the reason we're funding USAID in Africa is to counter China, and so that we can extract the resources from Africa. I saw it and I was like, okay, now we're talking about what's actually happening. It's out in the open. That is, it's always bothering me with foreign aid. I hate foreign aid, so it's such wasteful foreign spending.
Yeah, you said USAID spends money to make sure that we're countering Chinese influence inside of Africa.
And
make sure we don't lose minerals.
To make sure that we don't lose access to critical mineral supplies.
And that we're fighting against Hezbollah.
I hate this idea that the U.S. is some charitable organization that is just so benevolent and wasting people's money because we're so soft-hearted that we're out here helping people. No, we're like a ruthless empire that is trying to extract resources from Africa, and USAID is the soft power way that we go in and do that. China's got its Belt and Road and its other efforts that it uses to try to get resources. It's a competition for resources. So finally, at least we're talking about it openly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can debate it. Do we want to use this? And clearly what the MAGA folks are saying is we don't actually believe that it's for American soft power. We think that you're going to use it as your own partisan weapon in this intra-Civil War fight, which to me, if that helps to bring down the American empire, good.
Well, 15.